It says meeting recording is in progress.
All right, thank you. We can go ahead and get started, Margie.
Okay, thank you. Yes, we're here to talk to you about the strategic plan. This is a 5-year plan. It is due on March the 1st. The plan does include target occupations. Currently, the list has 27. The target occupations are the occupations that the ITA money can be spent on, other resources. So the target occupation list does open up a lot of opportunity for special projects and grant opportunities. The JET grants that are submitted, they're required to submit in target to serve occupations that are on the target occupation list. So with that said, that's part of the process that we're going through. The plan does require an update in 2 years, but overall it is a 5-year plan. So let's go to the next slide. The other way. Okay, so we're going to talk to you a little bit about what's going on in the area in relation to the industry and the occupation projections. And we're going to talk to you about the education industry, because that's really what we want to talk about and get your input as well as other areas. So I'm going to start out with this slide and tell you that overall what TWC is saying is that in 2018, which is the base year, if you look at the top there at total all occupations, that you had 114,774 jobs in the area, and that you're projected to grow by 2028 to 134,325. That's an overall growth of 19,551. And then it goes on and tells you a little bit more about those occupations and how many are transfers and how many annual openings. So that information is there. This is the highest level that's inclusive of all of the occupations. The SOC code on the left, you see that the last 4 numbers are all zeros. Those are the headers, so to speak, over each one of those areas that those numbers are representing. And so if we can go to the next slide. Okay, so we're going to talk about the education industry that has employees that are part of the number that we just saw. And looking at the data particular for the education industry, we're looking at the codes over here in the first column, and those are NAICS codes that begin with 61 and then go on to a different set of digits at the end. And looking at those education codes, you can see that in the estimated employment, there are 13,949 within that industry. And the industry is projected in 2028 to grow by 1,353. That's a 30.44% growth. But if you look at the industry 6113, colleges and universities, you can see that they're projected to lose 251 employees. And I keep reminding you that this is base period 2018, and just want to make sure that the data is not inclusive of any effect of COVID. So if we can go on to the next slide. This is when we look at the data that's sent to us about the 114,000 occupations. We're looking at, in this sheet, the occupations that are the highest hired by the NAICS industry 6111, which is education, elementary, and secondary schools. In order to be able to make this list, there has to be over a certain amount of employers that are categorized in this NAICS code. There are in the 6111 enough employers that qualify for this data to be given. So this is about the education, elementary and secondary school employers and the employees that they consider the highest in priority when they're hiring, or they hire the most. And the yellow that you see within this grid or this table, those are the occupations that are on the current target occupation list. These are numbers that are particular to the education, elementary and secondary school data for the 3-county area in South Texas. You can see that there is still a high number of elementary, secondary, and middle school teachers that are projected. These 3 teaching areas will, in looking at the data, probably remain on the target occupation list, unless we hear otherwise. There are also registered nurses, the bookkeeping, and the computer user support specialists that are hired by the NAICS code 6111. Other occupations there that are listed in white. The conversation that we're hoping to have today is to gather local wisdom about any particulars that we should be aware of as trends are affected by COVID or others, and whether you agree with what's reflected here in the table about the projections. Next slide, please. Okay, go to the next one. Because I go back one slide. Go back once there to the table. Almost had it. No. One more time. Up one more time. There you go. Almost made it. You got to go back up to slide 9. Slide 9. There you go. Okay. Remember I said that we didn't have that the 2018 through 2028 base year wasn't inclusive of COVID. And so we dug a little bit and we found data that reflects or data that's collected that reflects how many and who was asking for help wanted. These are the 25 occupations in South Texas, the 3-county region that had the most postings in the help wanted postings. The green represents, that they work for the education industry, and they were on that table that we just saw. The registered nurses, the maintenance and repair workers general, and office clerks general.
Margie, did you say this was pre-COVID?
No, this represents from January 2019 through September 2020. So this is about, I could probably mash it down to March to September. They should be dropping October help wanted information, but this is trying to just get a little indicator of what's going on and whether it's different COVID time.
Right.
'Cause
I hadn't noticed the months. I'm so sorry. But yes, I see it now.
That's a great question, and I'm welcoming conversation. So yes, you could see the number of nurses, 3,307 in that were in the help wanted ads. And when you look at the education table, there were 16 that were projected, but there were a lot of annual numbers in that table. For the registered nurses, there was a 1.27 annual growth for registered nurses. Now, one thing about the occupations, in order to qualify for the ITA or individual training account, the wage does have to be at least $12. So that's a big criteria that is looked at when we're putting that target occupation list together. Also, whether there is training for that occupation. So we can go on now to have our conversation and see if we can get y'all to talk to us. So let's go to slide number 11. And like I mentioned, this is local wisdom. We need to know what you know about your industry and any trends, anything that you're looking at. And, you know, some of the indicators that we're hoping to kind of pick up on that we don't have a lot of numbers projected is for computer support specialists and operators, computer technology people. So with that said, we are recording and we need for y'all to speak to us about what we just saw in relation to the demand occupations in your work environment. So I'm not sure who's willing to start out, but so I'm just gonna try to get you to talk a little bit here. And I wanted to maybe if there's any elementary and secondary school teachers, let's start with y'all and ask you if you're in agreement with the target occupations, the 3 teachers and the registered nurse and the bookkeeping position. There was one more that we saw earlier. Are you in agreement with that list? It's computer user support specialists. Are there any elementary or post-secondary school representatives that can speak to us about those teaching positions? Do we have anybody on for elementary?
I mean, we don't at the current, I mean, we don't have any. This is UISD, United ISD Andrew Sanchez.
Thank you.
At this moment in time, I mean, not even in this moment in time, but it's very rare that we have those openings. You know, so, and if you said it's which one, the computer?
Yeah, y'all have computer user support specialists. And it says that right now y'all got about altogether, all the schools that are under this industry NAICS. It says y'all have about 64 employees between all of y'all. And that you're projecting maybe needing 9 more within a 10-year period.
I can see that if we expand we are opening up new campuses. So yes, I can see where that's coming up. We're opening up a middle school. We have so I can see those positions coming in as we expand our campuses. Those positions are more than likely our IT support at our campuses.
And go ahead.
No, that's it. It's those individuals.
Okay, may I ask you, because, you know, a lot of schools now are having to do virtual training for their students, does it affect or increase the need for computer user support specialists because of COVID?
I think we're doing okay with their ITs at each of the campuses. So we've been, the way it is right now, we've been okay with the support of the number of employees we have. It's usually 2 at each campus and 1 at each of the elementaries. And then of course we have the different departments. For example, we have one where I'm at. And so they're throughout the districts. You know, everybody has one at their department. The tax office may have one. So I'm assuming it's including everybody that works in that, not necessarily just the campus. But we even have one at, you know, the transportation department. So I can see the growth if we grow in campuses.
Okay, thank you for sharing that. And the school teachers, the 3 that are there, the elementary and the secondary and the middle school teachers. That's a big number there that's projected.
Well, so I know at this point in time, our enrollment is dropping. And we are expanding as far as I think we're building a new middle school. And I can see where we're going to need staff for those campuses. But right now our enrollment is actually dropping. So I don't see us replacing, they usually start moving teachers around based on numbers. So what is the projection here?
Well, this is, the 10-year projection. And within 10 years to 2028, that you're projected to have a need for 233 more elementary school teachers. You're projected to need like 170. And this is over the 3-county area in elementary and secondary schools, and 135 more middle school teachers
And
within that.
this would be growth. I just want to make sure I'm
Yes. The
this would be
projection
growth. So not teachers being retiring and replacing, it's just growth.
It's growth. And yes, there are teachers that are retiring and going out and in, and there's a number for that.
Okay.
But no, this is just growth, your growth projection. And it's based on population and other criteria, but you're
Yeah.
projected to increase. And so if we look at that within a 10-year period, then for elementary school teachers, that's like 23 teachers maybe a year.
Now, my opinion is a person that would be great to be here is our planning department. They know what's coming up. They know what they're expected. They have all these numbers that can tell us what's the projection, where our areas are growing, let's say in UISD, and they can kind of tell us what the plan is for the next couple of years. And by that, we can develop these numbers.
Well, these numbers are developed based on data, and they're given to us to use in this analysis by Texas Workforce Commission. And so they are sanctioned numbers and their projections based on a lot of methodology.
Right.
But the thing about it is that we're having to do a little more due diligence because of COVID and unexpected anomalies that may occur in our data. And so, yes, if you're telling us that you're, because of the situation or what we're facing right now, may not be needing as many teachers as maybe you were this time last year, there could be some indicators there that we need to consider. If this, for example, remains on the target occupation list, then there will be persons that are being trained looking forward to having a opportunity of a job at the end. That's I think the most important outcome of this. So, but you're certainly being a big help in this discussion. I value, what you're saying and sharing with us because it's important information. So let's go down to number 13.
Margie, I'm
Yes.
sorry, I have a question. Also, I guess in lines going back to the IT, Angie, that the internship application that we submitted. So I guess based on this discussion right now, we talked about IT support. So you have that cohort right now, right, with the college, a dual enrollment.
Correct.
So I'm assuming that that's because there's a need in that area. You feel that, or the selection you mentioned the welding, you don't have welding, but the IT does. So that kind of goes in hand.
Yeah, so United South has the business and advanced technology, so they do a lot of IT networking. And so that's why that particular program, computer maintenance, that's why that that particular program is at that magnet school. So that's why we have that that level 1 certificate.
Okay, so that would go in line with the demand or with that need and be able to fill in that gap in the future.
Exactly. That's exactly what that does. So
Okay.
that aligns with that.
Okay,
And so that's the one we put in the grant.
yes. Okay, just wanted to make sure that we took all of that into account as we're going forward, Margie.
Thank you. And is there any other any other schools on the line that fit?
Well, this is Griselda Lozano from Laredo Independent School District.
Okay.
And I see as far as growth for us, We are now trying to implement more of the STEM. So we're going to starting computer programming and cybersecurity into our classes. So I know that we're planning with the new construction of the schools to add more classroom labs and et cetera to be able to accommodate those classes in getting those teachers in there also. And it also bring it into the high school also. So that's one area of growth that I can foresee happening within the next 5 to 10 years.
The cybersecurity program in your school growing.
Yes, computer programming and cybersecurity.
Uh-huh. Okay. And how about